welcome to another segment with me. My name is Brianna. Today I'm here with these beautiful, intelligent women. I'm going to let them introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Kennedy.
What's up? I'm Constance.
Hi, I'm Lisa.
Okay, y'all. So for this first one, we're just going to make it into a video. A game. Like I said earlier, I'm going to ask the questions and then you guys, show me whichever paper. You guys show me the answer with the paper. So either strongly agree, disagree, you guys know the drill. First question is, I have gotten away with things because of my skin complexion. Okay. Let's start with you. Would you like to elaborate on that?
Yeah, so I feel like oftentimes in society, how lighter skinned women are viewed, they're viewed kind of more as like sexual objects in a way. So men kind of use that as like, oh, okay, like we want all the light skins to come to the section. We want all the light skins in this video. Like, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. As opposed to girls who aren't necessarily pretty, because there are girls who get away with things and they'll be in sections and they'll be getting top treatment because of the color of their skin because they're lighter, but they will not be necessarily cute.
Right. I can see that. And then you guys were strongly disagree, and if you'd like to elaborate on that a little bit.
I don't think I've ever received any special treatment based on the color of my skin. I don't think my skin has ever set me apart from anybody. I don't think it's ever given me a token of anything. Like, I just exist and my skin doesn't contribute to that.
So you're just kind of like, this is what it is.
This is what it is. Yeah.
Lisa?
I put strongly disagree. Just personally, I don't really conduct myself in a way where I'm trying to get away with things. So I've never been in a situation where, in my opinion, I've gotten any type of unbiased treatment. But that's just, it might not necessarily be based on skin tone. It might just be based off character for that one. So that's why I just put strongly disagree.
Okay, that's understandable. The next question is, I feel more beautiful because of my skin complexion. Interesting. Okay. You put strongly disagree. Why?
I feel like my skin complexion doesn't really affect my beauty. Like, I feel like I'm beautiful no matter if I was lighter or darker. I feel like also too, being a lighter skinned woman, it's kind of frowned upon to be like, I feel like I'm beautiful because I'm light skinned. Because it's like, oh, she thinks she's beautiful because she's light skinned. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like, so you think you're better,
right.
As opposed to like, I feel like it doesn't matter whether it's summer and I'm darker or winter and I'm more lighter complexion. Like, I feel like I'm beautiful regardless. So for me personally, my complexion doesn't affect my beauty because I'm going to look the same way whether, you know what I mean? Like, my bone structure, everything, I'm going to look like how I am no matter my complexion.
Right. And you put strongly agree.
Yeah, I do strongly agree. I think it took a lot for me to get to this point where I was comfortable in the skin that I am. And so to be in this place where I think I am beautiful, I do want to attribute that to my skin because it just means a lot to who I am. It is me. So right. I don't want to take for granted the fact that my skin makes me. And right. That's beautiful.
That's interesting. Yeah. So you think, being the skin tone that you are, which is lighter skin, if you stood proudly and said, I love my skin, it would be looked more as, oh, she thinks she's better, as opposed to her, she thinks she's proud of that because it's been, I guess, looked down upon. Like, there's been a lot of negative connotation when it comes to dark skinned women. So I can see the difference. But it's just interesting, I thought everyone would be like strongly agree because I'm beautiful because my skin complexion, but I didn't really see it from that perspective. Yeah. So that's interesting. That's something new to me. Lisa, you also put strongly disagree.
Yeah, I would strongly disagree because almost piggyback off what you said, the same thing about having this phenomenon within Black women of having to kind of learn to love and accept everything that comes with being Black, including your skin, your hair texture, your features. And so it took a long time to kind of feel confident in my identity as, a Black woman, especially in, you know, comparison to like my mom's lighter skin. So it's in comparison to kind of, you're always kind of like looking and thinking the grass is greener, you know? So now I think my skin's beautiful and I think I'm beautiful, but I think I'm beautiful in whole, not specifically my skin,
Okay.
in whole with everything else I had to learn to love and accept as a black woman, including, you know, my, you know, thick coarse hair and my thicker round nose and etc. etc. So not that I don't absolutely love my skin and absolutely love my beauty, more so that it is, you know, the struggle that us black women need to overcome, and you know, there's mixed feelings around skin with us, clearly.
Right.
Why we're having this conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, I see where you're coming from. The next question is, I faced colorism before. Okay, so you put agree, somewhat agree. Constance, do you want to say, like, explain a little bit more?
Somewhat agree, because I think I've experienced it, like, maybe socially, but I don't think anyone has ever, like, straight up and told me, you're dark skinned, you can't come. Like I have light skinned friends who talked about girls getting brought into sections. Like, all my friends are light skinned, and yeah, they get invited into sections. Whether or not it's because of their skin color, I don't know. Personally don't care either, because I get to join the section too. So, like, if you want to say it's because of skin color, then yeah, that's why somewhat. But I've never had anyone deliberately say, like, you're dark skinned, you cannot come with us, you can't hang with us. So
I've more so had it, so for two different things. So one, it would be kind of like oh, she thinks she's better because she's like, which I never will ever say that I'm better or anything ever will come out of my mouth like that. But it's more of like girls in high school would be like, oh, the little light skin thinks she's better, da-da-da-da, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or, which is, you know, probably because of a boy or something like that.
Yeah.
Or the other thing would be kind of like guys, on the other hand, where it's not as they're saying things that are, you know, on paper insulting, but they're also like hurtful to me, because it's like a judge of my character, to where they'll be like, oh, she's a bougie light skin, oh, she's a little light skin, she doesn't text back because she's light skin. So it's like, no, you're not really saying like quote unquote traditionally derogatory terms to me. You're still kind of making an assumption that I behave a certain way because it's light skin behavior, which maybe I just didn't text you back because I didn't feel like talking, or I was busy, but I didn't text back because I'm light skin. Like, how does that, like, you know what I mean? Like, how does that, like, it's like annoying, like,
Yeah.
you know?
They're looking at light skin or skin complexion, like you said earlier, more of like a character, like
Yeah.
a character trait. There are people are taking light skin or being a certain skin tone as if it's a character,
Exactly.
as opposed to it's just my skin tone, you know. Lisa, you said agree.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think I might have noted this on a private conversation, but just how skin tone, and whether you're light skin or dark skin or brown skin, it all has to do kind of with proximity and like who's around you in comparison. So, you know, when I was at like an all white, primarily white school, where I was like one of the only, I think one of two black girls in my class, it was very much like I was the dark skinned girl. So I got, especially, you know, the guys, I would get, you know, I've gotten comments like, oh, Roach, oh, she, really derogatory, awful comments, like comments about what my privates might look like, comments about my hair texture, like really bad, rude comments.
Yeah.
Mostly from the men, you know,
Yeah.
other men darker than me, which is like, you know, the ironic part about how that kind of insecurity had them projecting on me as like one of the few black girls at like primarily white schools. And then on the flip side, it's like I would come to the DMV where there's like way more black people, like I'm African, way more Africans here, and I'm considered light skinned. And then that was like a kind of like Twilight Zone moment, because I would also get, you know, these comments about how I sound white and how I think I'm better than everybody, and, you know, blah, blah, blah. And it was just, I was always just like blown away, because that's not my experience in my skin as a black woman. My experience isn't that of like privilege or feeling better than anyone else because of my skin tone. I just see myself as like black, and I feel like a lot of insecurities can be projected in our community in assuming someone's like life and how they view things And I never really let it, you know, get under my skin like that, because at the end of the day, I knew it wasn't me. It was like, again, insecurities being projected.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it didn't stop it didn't stop me from loving myself, from getting the guys, from getting money.
Period.
Sorry, I just want to piggyback off of what you said, because I had an experience kind of like similar to you with going to a predominantly white school all throughout college, like high school, middle school, college, and there was specifically a time that I remember I had a crush on this boy, and I think I told him I liked him, which I think is why I never tell people I like him. But I told him I liked him, and I think I was like 12 years old, and he was like, I don't like black girls. And there was like, I was like one of 3 black girls in the whole middle school, and he looked at me and said straight to my face, I don't like black girls. Jeez. And then throughout high school, it's the same thing. It's like all the little black boys didn't like black girls. And so it's like, it does become an issue of, it's not even like, it's based off your proximity. It doesn't even, it's not like a light skin, dark skin thing. It does become a thing where it's like, they don't even like black girls now. So it's like, it's not even all light skin. It's just, oh, I'm black and he just doesn't like me because I'm black, basically, you know? Yeah. So yeah,
if you're the black girl in white spaces, you're black. If you're the black girl in black spaces, but depending on one skin tone, they'll pick and choose as to why and when they like or don't like you. So maybe you're like, maybe you're usually like considered light skinned, but then in this circle, it's like there's a mixed girl that comes in, and then all of a sudden you're black. And it's like,
yes, my sister, she is darker than me. She's like a little bit darker than me, and she's more like brown skin complexion. She goes to school in Louisiana, so they consider her light skin. So she's like, all the boys keep calling me little light skin. I'm not even light skin. And her teammates will like say things or whatever. Her friends will say things and be like, oh, they just like you because you're light skin. And my sister's like, I'm not even light skin. What are you talking about? So it is like definitely based off of like, if there's a mixed girl in the group, if you're where your location is. It's so crazy how we just like view each other based off of our location.
So you guys would agree that, you know, this whole colorism thing is just a concept that people make it out to be then? Yeah. Okay. Because that was my next question. In your opinion, and you don't have to, you know, answer with the papers anymore, but so colorism is really more, do you think, okay, the reason why I'm saying it is because I've had a lot of people say colorism doesn't really exist, just dark-skinned women complaining. What do you guys think of that statement? I think,
well, first of all, I think colorism does exist, but I think it exists because it's used as a societal tool to oppress us. But I think it's not, it is amongst us, but it was created by more so like back to our historical times, you know, like the lighter skinned people run in the house, they get treated better, you know what I mean? But it's at the end of the day, we were all slaves, you know what I mean? Like it wasn't really, or like even in history, like growing up in school, how they would talk about how like, yeah, if you were fair complexion, you were in the house, but like I said, like they all were still treated poorly. They were all, you know, assaulted. They were all, you know, everybody went through their own thing. And I don't think that colorism is, you know, dark-skinned women complaining, but I do think there are, on both sides, people that don't try to understand where the other person is coming from. Because there are light-skinned girls that's like, oh my gosh, like, they just don't like me because I'm like no, like, okay, like, you know what I mean? It's not, it does happen, but it's not always going to be, they don't like you because you're light-skinned. And on the other hand, there are, again, dark-skinned women that do hate light-skinned women. Like you see on, you guys all have social media, you see TikTok where they will literally be like, like you know what I mean? But it's all of us. First of all, we're all women and we're all black, so it's like we all have this battle that we're fighting, but we're really fighting like the wrong battle. Like we're really fighting ourselves. So it's just kind of like
I know what you mean. So no, go ahead.
Sorry, I was definitely gonna piggyback off that. I think colorism is interesting because a lot of the time it's seen as darker skinned black women like projecting insecurities, like they're just insecure, so like it doesn't exist. And I also see a phenomenon where colorism is like discussed, and they're like, if you're light skinned, shut the fuck up, you can't experience colorism. And I think that really is the point in why colorism exists every community, like not just like within the United States with American slavery, but there's colorism in Brazil, there's colorism in the Asian community with lighter skinned Asians and especially Indian. Just that kind of a creation of this caste system where it's like this is the ideal and this is, you know, not the untouchables is what the Indian caste system would call it. And that creates like division within every community that is not good for anyone at all. Like it's not good for darker skinned people who, you know, in certain communities and especially, you know, more in historic times, we're getting more and more equal as a society. But more in historic times wouldn't get, you know, job opportunities or wouldn't get, you know, get special treatments or marriage opportunities. That's like awful, and that actually has like real impact not only on self-esteem but actually like on economic opportunity. Like you're getting in the way of people's bags in colorism. But also on the flip side, it's like there's nothing good about being objectified. Like point blank period. Like you're put in this system that is supposed to make you think that you're the best if you hate yourself and if you hate your people and if you betray your people for opportunity. There's nothing you should be proud of about being quote unquote light skinned proudly. Like that is awful. You're, you know, you're being dehumanized just as much as a darker skinned person, just in a whole different way because you don't even realize you've been almost like brainwashed and manipulated into actually doing the work of, you know, the oppressive system. Like white people don't have to whip us when we're whipping each other and we're busy fighting each other.
Right.
So that's my whole thing with colorism, where I'm just like, it definitely does exist, and it's good that these conversations can be had so that we can like try to become more united in like being proudly black.
Right.
I think colorism does exist, but this may sound a little ignorant. I think it only exists if like you really let it affect you. Like okay, it exists, but it doesn't necessarily like directly affect me, which is why I had mentioned like my friends would get invited to sections, I don't get invited to sections. I think colorism is a big like social construct. It's something that affects you socially, but I've never not gotten a job because I'm dark skinned. Maybe somebody would have called me ugly because I'm dark skinned, but like what did that stop? And I think that sometimes it's like it's just viewed as something a lot bigger than it is because people allow it to affect them a lot more than it needs to affect them. Like it doesn't actually stop anything that matters in my life. It has never stopped anything in my life that matters. Like, yeah, it has affected maybe my confidence at a point in time. Yeah, it has, like, I guess that's really all it ever really affected. Like I said, I've never not gotten a job because I'm darker than, like, a light-skinned girl.
Right.
Maybe I wouldn't have gotten a job, like, because of racism, you know, but definitely not because of colorism. I just feel like colorism is just something that, again, it's within the community. So black people, like, speaking about black people struggle with it. And we use it to, like, lift ourselves up, I guess, based off of like on our exteriors, just to make ourselves feel better about whatever it is. Also, I do understand it is taught like from home to home. Like maybe you learned it, like your mom was saying like, oh, you're beautiful because you're light skinned, and so now you take that in, or like you said, you are reluctant to even admit that you are beautiful because people, you know,
they just
throw
yeah, sorry, I don't want to say cuss word, like let me not say cuss, but yeah, they just, you know, they beat you up about it, so now you're hesitant to speak on it. But all in all, it's just like I just think there's so much emphasis on like the color of our skin and the different skin tones, and it just doesn't mean anything. I don't think there's anything wrong with thinking you're beautiful because you're light skinned, because like you are beautiful. And it's like, I don't know, that's why I said, and I noticed you too, and I had mentioned this earlier, but like you didn't say anything about me saying that I'm beautiful because I'm dark skinned, and I just sat here and said that. And I don't think you should have, but I realized that you were like, I think both of you had mentioned like it's like a personality trait whenever it comes to light skin, and I think light skinned women do struggle with that. They don't get the chance to like boast about the beauty that they feel based on the color of their skin. And I think that sucks because like if you're beautiful, you're beautiful.
You're beautiful, right?
Like,
right.
Yeah.
That's true. Because you could really say like, I'm a beautiful dark-skinned woman. I love my complexion. If I sat there and was like, I'm a beautiful light-skinned woman. I love my complexion. I love that I'm like,
We're gonna be like,
people would be like,
Yeah.
she just said she was beautiful because she's light-skinned and yellow and whatever else. She looks like a carrot. Like, no. I would get eaten alive. I would go viral. People would be on my comments like, die light-skinned women. Like, they would literally hate me. I would get canceled. So, yeah. Like, it's just crazy.
I think it just, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I think it just doesn't, like I agree with what you said, but I somewhat disagree. I think that colorism now doesn't have as much impact as it used to. But that's like more of a reflection of us in general becoming a little bit more of an equal society, and us in general like advancing as Black people. But like, you know, like nowadays it's like, okay, like what did it stop me from, I guess, getting a free section? But if I had money at the end of the day, nothing. If I have money, period, you can't stop me with anything. Like if I have my bag, like it doesn't matter. Like move aside, like I can get whatever I want. But you know, like we have to like think about like the historic like aspect of it. Like you literally like, and it's to this day in some countries. Like if you're dark skinned, you can't get married. Like you cannot get married. You won't have any suitors in places like Brazil and you know like places like you know some Asian countries as well. So, and for a woman, like that can be make or break in terms of economic like support, like especially in places that aren't as equal. Women don't have as many opportunities, and your only option is like to get a husband. Like so, we still have to like we have like our like you know our viewpoints as Americans, and we have a lot of freedom in America. But like we can't like deny the fact that like my mom being light skinned and being like the first to be picked up by the smartest person in her village is the reason why I was born in London and we're now in the US. Meanwhile, her darker skinned sisters didn't have as much opportunity or as higher caliber of suitors. Like that is something to be talked about. Like, you know, so I don't want to say like it doesn't like matter at all, but it can be make or break. Like even so how white people treat us in court systems, like they say that like if you're lighter skinned in the legal system, you're more likely to have a more lenient what's it called sentence. Like that's a big deal. It's not what got you to that situation. It's definitely not the defining aspect of privilege, but it is like when things get to like I guess the lower levels of what can save you and what gives you grace, it doesn't hurt to be a little lighter complexion in some situations.
I mean, this is
but
true.
At the end of the day, the main thing that doesn't hurt is having money and being able to buy your way out of any situation. So light skin or dark skin, go get your bag.
Get some money.
Go get some money and you won't have any problems. But it, you know, it's we think of it more of like a social issue, but that in itself it reflects our privilege as Westerners and as Americans, because in some places that social issue is an economic issue and they go with each other, and being light skinned can literally take you from poverty to upper middle class in another country or whatever.
So would you guys agree with this statement, light skin privilege exists?